Hello and welcome everyone for joining us today on our Nourishing Dialogues at Work series, being human together in where we are and what we do. And today we have our guest, Elizabeth Lovius. She's a leading mentor and author of Love in Business. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Hello, Genevieve. Lovely to see you. I see you on the line on your Facebook and Substack, but it's lovely to have a chat with you today.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's so lovely to see you again. It's been 10 years, I think, since the last time we saw
Yeah,
each other in Oslo. That was in Oslo, at the One Solution event.
that's right. That's right. I think you just
Yeah.
met your husband at that event, was it, or soon
Y-
before or after?
Yes, that event, yes.
Wow.
And yeah, many things have changed since then. And at the time, I was working at the Center for World Peace and Health.
Mm,
Yeah. And then I moved to the United States of America in that
wow.
same year, at the end of that year, yeah.
Wow.
And now I thought you were still in the UK, so I put the time for the UK, not in Spain.
I am in between two countries. So my main base now is Spain, but I still yeah, I'm in the UK a lot. So I live in two time zones already.
What's that like to live in different time zones? Because I keep on switching between Australia and Hawaii, and then here. It's like, there's so many time zones in my head.
I know. Tell me about it. Yeah. I uh I keep my UK my laptop on UK, so I always know the UK time. And then everything else is plus or minus from there. I just find that the easiest way to keep in my head. Yeah.
Yeah. All these things that we nowadays also deal with, huh?
Definitely.
But it's beautiful that we have this technology that we can still connect somehow.
Mm, yeah. When it's in service.
Um,
When it's in service of the human and not the other way around.
right, exactly. And that's one of the things that we're gonna talk about today. And
Mm,
can you tell us about love in business? That's my favorite subject.
mine
I
too. So, um, I think the first time that I realized that's what I was doing, I want to say 30 years ago, when I was training facilitators at IBM to do organizational transformation. And that was my job. And we trained 200 facilitators in the art of how to think differently, how to have a shift in perspective. That was kind of the heart of it, how to make a leap mentally, and how to bring people together to make a leap. Because what had happened was Apple, there was a time when there was not such a thing as an Apple phone, believe it or not, listeners. And IBM was the fat cat and had like the market share. And then Apple came on the scene, and IBM was realized it had to fundamentally change the way it operated to compete. And that meant every single person in IBM learning how to think differently and think like a customer first, and change its processes and ways of thinking and being market driven. So there's my job suddenly appearing. I was becoming a central plank of IBM strategy. So that was a really exciting time for me. And as a result, I actually asked if I could train 200 facilitators to help each individual bit of IBM make a leap in their thinking and become market driven. And the key to that is the capacity to kind of put down old thinking and be open to fresh thinking. So there's a whole lot of story behind that. However, one day I realized that the techniques and the tools and the strategies and the processes for creating shifts in thinking, none of that would work unless the people in the room were already aligned and connected, open-hearted, listening to each other, appreciative. You know what? That's all of those is another word for that. Love. And so I think that was the first moment when I realized that love had agency, that love mattered, that, and I call it connection often, connection to self, connection to others, but really I'm talking about a powerful, positive connection that is transcendent. That's love, that transcends your unique individual needs, your ego, whatever your ego is saying to you. It's sort of that which is allows energy to be exchanged between. And I think that that energy, is love, and it definitely belongs in business. And I saw it because I saw the difference when people tried to get people to do things with technique versus first creating the space for something new to arise. So that would be my quick first answer to your question. How did I get to love in business? And then after that, I used to call myself an undercover agent for love.
I love that.
To the corporate suits in the 90s, I'm an undercover agent for love. No, I never do that. But when they were in the room and they were feeling it, then I would. Then I'd say it. Then I'd name it. And you know what? Ones that we used to call them hairy-ass engineers. The most hairy-ass engineer who's like kind of feet on the earth, doesn't like all this nonsense. When they're feeling it, they recognize it. They recognize. No one argues. And what they say then is, oh, it's just this group. It's just this group that feels like this. Or it's just those of us that have been enlightened with this new philosophy or whatever that is. It's just us. And I say yes and no. It's just us, except that this is what all humans are like when we put down the guard, when we put down the barrier, when we open our heart. Suddenly we're met, and it doesn't matter where you are. So I'll pause there for a follow-up question.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that is so rich already and so beautiful. So yeah, there's a distinction between working with techniques to converge or to connect people in a contrast with creating the space for for love to emerge basically naturally. And that's what I'm hearing you say. And in that allowing, people can naturally feel it too. So there's no control of I want you to feel that, because that doesn't work.
Yeah,
That's more like coercive control. But creating the conditions and the space for our humanity, our shared humanity, basically to emerge,
exactly that.
then it's easier to meet one another in our humanness.
That's it.
And that is so beautiful, and I am so glad that had done that in the business world. You have been doing that in the business world for 30 years, and I still remember IBM indeed think differently. That
It
was their motto back then.
was.
I don't know if it's still now, so I
Yeah.
wish I had you back then. As a mentor. I had
Oh,
to find my way through it, but I was lucky enough with the people I have worked with, because I really felt well respected and highly valued, and I was one of the few women in the male dominated industry.
yeah,
Because that mattered to me. Human connections, genuine human connections mattered to me, and I had to figure out for myself how I would have to carry myself, what conditions I would bring in, what kind of energy I would bring in,
Mm,
um, for that to happen. And for me, honesty is one of those. Like, if I
mm,
can just be honest with what's alive in me, no
mm,
matter how hard it is to express them sometimes, to express
mm,
in words what's alive,
mm,
as long as I can be honest about it. And well, there's also a distinction between being honest and telling the truth with care.
mhm, mhm.
Um,
Yeah, I talk about this when I said earlier about a safe space. Um, so often what I'll do practically to create a safe space is I invite everyone in the room to tell me their one thing. What would be your one thing that you would want to achieve? And I take care with that and I get it really rigorous and I make sure it's in their words. So we're all aligned that this is the intention. If we can have anything, this is what we would have. So that's in there. And then I ask, if we wanted to achieve these things, what would we need to agree between ourselves that's going to make an environment that's going to help us, a safe environment where we can achieve these goals that we've just set? So it's a kind of connected to their goals question. And then that is, I call it ground rules or team contract. And it's like, who do we need to be with each other so that that can happen? And in that conversation, invariably someone will say, be honest. And I will say, absolutely yes. And we live on a metaphorical elevator of life. And when we're in a very low mood and we're very grumpy and disconnected and frustrated, what comes out of our mouth might be honest in that moment, but nobody needs to hear
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So this care part that you mentioned is about tell the truth with care. Well, with take care to just check in. Where are you on that elevator? Are you neutral or above? Go for it. Are you disgruntled, grumpy, and want to kill someone? Maybe not. Maybe not. Not the moment. You know what I'm saying there, Jeanette? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah. That's what I actually put together in my book, like the different levels. And I love the elevator metaphor. Like, yes, when you're on level one or level two, that's level one is combative, and level two is polite. When you're actually just very tired and you're just nodding and just saying yes just to keep the peace. Um,
yeah,
yeah, then it's sometimes it might be also okay to just say, okay, I'm grumpy right now, so
right,
I'm just gonna stay silent. But
right.
that kind of honesty, instead of you are calling names. So that is a different kind of honesty that I've heard it said, in a different way. So, and the kind of honesty I'm talking about is just saying, really, when I say what's alive is, okay, I'm feeling really not myself right now. So I'm just gonna excuse myself or something, or I'm just gonna stay silent here, but I'm still listening. But I'm processing things.
Yeah,
So I think we can do that still, and I have done that in groups, in teams. But when I know that when I am in rage, for example, then I'm gonna have to leave the room and just excuse myself because nothing good is gonna come out of it. So
I
I think
think,
it's that kind of self-awareness too.
yeah. I mean, in general, I mean, it's the weirdest thing. Sometimes rage can be the very thing that, Jesus turned the tables over in the temple to say no more of this nonsense. So there can be a place for all these things, but I think it's like you said, with care, with self-awareness, with checking in, what is wanting to happen now? And is this in service of me and service of others? I think that's the more central question, isn't it? And I think that is a moment by moment phenomena, as you say, depending
It
what
is
level.
in Wow, I love that. It is in if is it in service of others,
The whole, including me.
of the whole,
Yeah.
yes,
Which,
the
if I
whole
may,
field.
make a segue to something I'd love to talk about, which is what I mean when I talk about leading with heart and soul. Because I would say that in business, I think you mentioned it, male domination, or let's call it the it has a tendency towards domination, which
Mhm.
is you could call yang energy or masculine values. And it's like, how do we dominate this market? How do we dominate the competitor? How do we get the customer to, increase their market share? And, they may not use the word dominate, but they want to dominate the market. So there's definitely those words are used. So this
Yes.
this idea of, let's get our strategy right, let's get our processes right, let's go for the goal no matter what. And I don't want to say that that's bad. I just want to say it's limited when it's the only approach.
Right.
That makes
Mhm.
sense to you. It's not about not that. It's about that and. Oh, I need to have my other hands in a small and. So what do that means I call this head power, domination, head power, achieve the goal at any cost. But I think we've got it a little bit out of order, because I would say we need to start with what I call soul power, or another word for that would be one's own innate capacity for one's own wisdom, inner knowing, hunch, gut feel, aha, realization, perspective, that which is within and guides us, our inner guru, our higher self. You could call it anything. It's not really in the name, but it's in those kind of moments where you just have a felt and embodied sense of knowing something. And it may or may not agree with what the outside world thinks you need to do, but you know. And I call that your capacity for wisdom. And so that is the kind of currency of soul power. Listening to that always and at all times. And it will tell you, go read a book, get a degree. I'm actually toying for the first time in my life with getting a degree in ancient religions at the time of the beginning of Christian religion. I'm kind of fascinated what was going on at that time. And so I'm actually thinking of studying it. Now, I have never in my entire life been drawn to do any kind of masters or anything like that. And suddenly there it is out of nowhere. And I'm feeling it. I'm just feeling my way. Now I'll bring in some logic to go, what will this cost? How long will it take? What's the right path? Is it going to take, then the head power comes in. But my inner wisdom is saying, nudging me, you love this subject. Why not study more? Out of the blue. So wisdom is soul power, your innate, unique essence, which contacts the heart. And the heart knows what will serve the whole. The heart just knows what will serve the whole and is open. Oh, I'm getting tingles now. To receive divine inspiration through this soul power, we receive divine inspiration of a vision, a creative vision of what will serve. And that are the gifts of heart power, connection and creation. And that is, when you put that together with wisdom, wise connection and wise creation, you've got leading with heart and soul. And that is what needs to go first, in my view, before we invite achieving lots of goals to make it happen. But
That
has
is so
that
beautiful.
sense to you?
That is so beautiful. Thank you. Wow. Yes, and you put it so eloquently, the heart and the soul together, and then also the logic in there. That's what I call the wholeness. It is our wholeness
Yeah,
because none of them works individually. They come as a whole. And it's only then that we can actually see much clearer and take actions also that are more beneficial, not just to ourselves, but to the whole as
yeah,
well. And then that symbiotic signaling, as I call it, like it just keeps on flowing. The flow of giving and receiving is just, or it feels effortless then when we come from that, is my experience. And wow. um and how has that been in the business world when people would say like like the P&L, the strategies. Can you give an example of how that has turned people's heart change when people have had a change of heart just having you around and pointing them to that direction, or at least allowing that heart
Um,
and soul to come through?
I would say I have worked with many, many, many individual leaders, and it's in a way easier to work with an individual and have them be heart and soul led. And I would say I'm thinking about someone who started their career in HR, but they had they'd learnt the job through doing it versus studying a lot about it. So in a way, the clay, they were already quite instinctive and quite wise in how they approach things. But for them, they didn't quite believe that they could rise to the top of the organization without external training. That's what their thought was. And actually, I probably asked them the questions that made them realize that they were already doing the job that they thought they needed to train to do. So that was the foundation. And when they liberated themselves to be who they really were without the noise of I should be different than the way that I am, this person then went on to receive a vision of what the business needed to do, which turned out to be work with prisoners and give them a second chance at work. And now they speak at the House of Lords about that subject to encourage other businesses to do the same. So this is what I would say a kind of journey might be, working with this person is now CEO of that business. So they start off thinking I'm not good enough or I can't do it. And they're not in alignment with their true soul power. And then they sort of drop the noise and they get that alignment, that signal that you just said earlier, and they start listening to it. And then what they receive is a vision that only they can bring to creation, and they manifest it, and then they make it happen. And it's sort of so, in this case, extraordinary. It goes beyond their company and it inspires other businesses. And that is a true story. And that's an example of how an individual leader ends up leading a whole business in the direction of leading with heart and soul. Now, the clay is good. That helps. I have witnessed that when people are given the opportunity to lead with what I call, start with why, Simon Sinek, purpose, lead for a purpose beyond money. Purpose, as Simon Sinek calls it, the big why. When you start with purpose that isn't about money, that speaks to the heart. That's beyond, shareholders. Now, you need oxygen in your business. You need money, profit. Profit is oxygen. We all die without it. The business dies without it. So it's not a bad thing. It's just not a purpose in its as a sole purpose. You need to have something above that speaks to the heart. So businesses that do that are very successful, and people want to work for something beyond money. They want to feel like they're contributing towards. And the second thing that people want to work with is values. How do we treat each other around here? And what does good look like? So that you could say is purpose, vision, and values. And those things are from the heart. So we as humans actually want and need that. And we will go the extra mile for that in a business setting when we believe, when we care about our teammates, when we care about what we're doing, because we know we're up to something bigger. So just a tiny story, because stories illuminate it. It's the story of JFK. Back in the 70s, he wanted to put a man on the moon, and he enrolled everybody around him to be part of that vision and what it would mean for humanity. And he was once doing a tour of NASA, and he was talking to the cleaner. The cleaner was in the, cleaning. And JFK
Yeah.
goes up to the cleaner and says, what are you up to? And he said, well, I'm the cleaner and I'm putting a man on the moon. Because what I'm doing is keeping this area safe so that they can make the right experimentation in the right way, so that etc. etc. So he saw his cleaning as putting a man on the moon. And that's the power of why and the power of the heart.
The power of the heart. Oh my goodness. I love this. It's like one of those dreams come true that I get to speak about this in public, because it's one thing to just go around doing the work, behind the scenes, but to actually just name it in public and have a conversation about this. Oh, it's so nourishing to my heart and soul. And I'm pretty sure that will also be for others who are here right now and who are going to listen to this conversation. Um, and yeah, that's why we're sitting here, because we want to see more of that in the world. And because it's badly needed in the world. And that is also one of the reasons why we're doing this conversation, because the more we speak about it, the more we normalize it,
Right.
it's gonna be easier, or that's what I think anyway,
Look,
to be a
yeah,
part of our daily life.
I think it was Krishnamurti who said, adapting to an insane world is not a sign of sanity. And I would say, by any measure, we live in an insane world where things do not make sense. Like, why would you wouldn't go into your kitchen and do big poo poo in there, you know? Do that, right? But we do that. We do that to the earth, our mother. And there are so many things that don't make sense. And so it seems to me that it is the responsibility of women of a certain age to say no. That is not how we do things around here in our tribe, whether that's a business tribe, whether that's a community, whether that's a family. But it is up to the aunties and the grandmothers to say, no, we lead with the heart and soul around here. And then we see what makes sense logically. And that for this, we need to value, you could say, yin values or feminine values in balance, in systems like governance, like business, authority systems that tend to only value one set of values. And we need to bring in the balance. And it is up to women, grey-haired women. Well, I have some. I'm dyeing them blonde, but they are actually grey.
I have
And
a little bit.
there, grey-haired women have generally travelled their own change of life. They're chemically more balanced in between estrogen and testosterone, and they have a kind of no need to procreate, no need to attract a mate. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the truth. They've got burnished experience. We've suffered. And so what we say, we only say from from our own knowing, you could say. We tend to be less interested in the latest theory and more in what is the embodied experience. And we are willing to speak our truth. And this is what I believe. The feminine goes first in voicing humanity and heart and wisdom. And that is kind of what I'm devoting the rest of my life to now. The leadership of the feminine in us all, not just in women. Doesn't really matter what you identify as, but we all have feminine, masculine energies that are, and those things need to be in harmony in us and in our world systems. So that's what I'm up to.
Oh my goodness, yes, and that's what I've been up to as well. I started with Mother Love Matters, but Mother Love Matters and Nourishing Dialogues, they go together. It's relational. It's
Yes.
that emotional, relational maturity. that we bring in. And the way you said that, like, wow, you said that with resolution, like firmness, like, yes, that's what we need. More of like that feminine energy, fierce feminine energy, which has nothing to do with domination and control at all, but is the, like what you said, is embodying the balance between the masculine and feminine energies within us first. Well, that has been the case for me and for you as well, and for so many I've seen on this path, that because we saw in ourselves that this is not gonna work anymore, the way we have, um well, I just call it our inherited trauma.
Uh,
um
Conditioning, inherited conditioning, whatever that may be, including trauma. Yep,
yeah,
100%.
so
We're innocent.
bye. Yeah,
We're
yes.
innocent. If I know you've had a child, if you're from 0 to 7, they're just absorbing everything. We're absorbing everything. We don't have discernment yet. That kicks in around age 7. We believe in Santa Claus and fairies, and we are Spider-Man. These are the things of the territory of the 6-year-old, or under that. And so we don't check, do we agree, disagree, is it good or bad, what's being told to us. We just absorb it with our mother's milk and beyond. And so we're kind of innocent in a way. But as we adult, it's up to us to maybe look and see, is that conditioning helpful still or not? And is there a way I can transcend it and choose my influence? And many of us have been conditioned by the world of business to be the bottom line a particular way.
Oh, yes.
And I think ultimately, I mean, this is my own journey and my own truth. But we women have to really take a look. Is this way of pushing and making ourselves productive no matter what, and always wanting more and wanting to dominate whatever, is that really serving us? Or is there another way we can be in terms of leadership that nourishes ourselves, that fills our own cup first, that makes space for rest and renewal and stillness and depth, and is not in a hurry, and that we trust something greater beyond us, where we have ritual and connection and faith, and that all of those matter. And we have to do that ourselves first before we can light the way. And that's going against our conditioning, because we've been told, if I'm going to be crude, stick a tampon in and keep going.
Oh,
Literally.
yeah.
Literally. Now, I was kind of proud of that. I could do that. I could have it, no one would know I had my period, kind of thing, because that's what it was like then in the 80s. But I look back now and I feel sad for that young me who felt she had to be unfeminine to compete, unfemale.
Right. Yes.
So this is my inheritance, my conditioning that I had to wake up to. And I didn't have daughters, but I have potential daughter-in-laws, and I talk to them about these things. You respect your period. There's actually one of my clients organizes her meetings around her cycle now, because she knows in the middle she's better. So that's when she has her group meetings. The one-to-ones she can handle at different times of her cycle, and the certain days better to not be near anyone, to just take time for her. That would not be how things were for me when I was, her age. So I think the conditioning runs deep, and we women need to take a look first. What are we living inside of masculine values, and are they serving us? Because that's the first port of call. That's the work I do on the terrace. People come and visit me in Spain. They do it one-to-one retreats with me, and then we go there. We go there in the ground rules conversation. I mentioned ground rules for the team earlier.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ground rules for the individual retreat, And I ask them, what will set you up for success on this treat? And they go, drinking less wine, switching my phone off. I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's try it, see what it's like for 3 days, and then you can go back. So often we need to be switched on in our heads.
Oh, yes.
So the first
And as a mother
is to let go. Yeah, as a mother, as a wife, as a partner, as a business owner, as a colleague, as a client, as a supplier, whatever the context is, we've got reasons to be switched on.
Yeah. Yeah, I got the very rude awakening in motherhood and all of that.
100%.
Yeah. It's like being the good mother. Like I was already questioning like being a good teacher back then. Like what is good anyway? What does that mean? And then I found out it was inherited. Like okay, to does that really serve to just be calm all the time? Yes, sure, there is a place for calmness, but there's also space for truthfulness with care. And motherhood really showed me that it's not my job to hold everything together. I can also just delegate. And well, I was this hands off person already anyway, so just create the environment and let people just have the freedom to explore and navigate the space. But with guardrails, of course, the ground rules, like just have respect for the space, have respect for each other.
Yeah.
And yes, motherhood really kicked me. Okay, I'm not gonna say that. Yep, it just I shed a lot of the conditionings and composted them, metabolized them. I had to. There was no other way to do it, and that's how I also started being more attuned to my cycles as well. I had the privilege to actually already do that in the Netherlands and in the male not dominated industries because I don't know what it is with Dutch men. One man said to me, I think the Dutch man is the most emancipated man in the whole world. And he could be right. I don't know.
Maybe. I
Oh.
think the Scandis do. I'm married to a Dutchman, so yeah, he's into equality for sure. Definitely, I would say, and respect for whatever a woman goes through. I definitely feel respected in that way. Yeah. Yes, but I do think, yeah, it's motherhood is a journey. I have 2 sons now. I would say of ultimately identity, the idea of ourselves that we have before mother, and then the idea of we have of ourselves being a mother, and not to mention our own mother coming out our mouth. And then
Mhm.
as they grow, we start to see the fruits of our motherhood, and we see what they've got that we gave them. And that's an interesting journey as well. That's a journey of self-forgiveness ultimately, and owning. We're going to F them up no matter what we do. We just don't know how.
Pardon me.
I accept that early.
Yeah.
I accept that early. We do our best. We do our best. But yeah, as a mother, and this is true as a leader as well, if we're trying to fix everyone, if we're trying to fix our kids, we give them a very clear message. They know that we're trying to fix them energetically, if not in actual words. And the message that we give them energetically is, you need fixing. In other words, you're broken, because you wouldn't need to
Right.
fix something that wasn't broken.
Right.
So now this is innocent because we got that message. We're just passing it on. We're trying to be perfect. And this idea of fixing, whether it's a team member or yourself or your kid or your partner, it only can be messaging you're not capable of fixing yourself. Therefore, there's something wrong with you because you need me to fix you. And that is a really insidious thing that can creep into
Oh, yeah.
leadership, one's parenting, one's creative process even. And I sort of can't say I win every time that battle, but I know to watch out for it. I know to watch out for it. And I think when I realized that, my eldest son was 12, when I realized, and I sat him down and I said, I've had a realization. I've been trying to fix you and you're not broken. And I'm sorry. And he went, that's fine, mummy. But I could see he had it. He had the chip. He had the chip that he needed, to prove himself, his worth to me. And he still does, in his own way. And I can, I forgave myself for it. I did my best, but I could see that message had taken root. And what are you going to do? We're just the best, doing the best we can. So I do think, but back to the feminine, one of those gifts is sort of compassion for oneself, for one's own experience. That we have to face the truth, but we don't have to dwell in the guilt of it. We can just, the truth will set us free, but only when we allow it and embrace it and meet it and accept it.
In compassion.
With compassion. If we resist and judge it, well, then it will stick around and be like prison.
Right. And that's the art, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of the oscillation of that, because we still will go through that, I think, no matter how no matter how much we shed or compost, I think it's still gonna be there because it's around, it's in the collective.
Yeah.
And that's what the radical self-compassion is needed.
Radical self-compassion, radical self-care. And, I notice that when I'm in a low mood or I'm struggling or I'm resisting, that's one of the first things to leave. Self-compassion and self-care. So it's kind of a really good guide. How much self-care and self-compassion am I in? Would be a good barometer of how well I'm doing. And if I'm not in self-compassion and self-care, or it's gone out the window, and I'm feeling like I'm struggling, there's a connection between those two things. And the thing that's within my gift, my agency, my capability, my control, you could say, even, is can I meet myself with compassion? Can I meet myself with care? What's the kindest thing I can do for myself right now? These are very practical things that actually swing your pendulum back to self-connection. Oh, Jackie's listening to an inspiring conversation. I appreciate that. Yes, all hard won. I mean, I've learned as much from what I've not done and where I failed than where I've succeeded. I'm telling you.
Yes, exactly. All of it. Life has given all of it.
Absolutely.
And what do you think becomes possible in organizations when we stop pretending we can leave our humanity at the door and still do good work? And we're talking about Mother Earth earlier as well, and feminine values. How
Okay.
do they all?
Well, in my view, we have equitable prosperity. We lose this massive divide between rich and poor, because when we start to think about the whole, we think that we've got to serve the suppliers, we've got to serve the customers, we've got to serve the people that work in a business. We've got to look at every interaction with the business is effectively a stakeholder. So that will be the community in which it operates, the land on which it operates, the like I said, the suppliers, the customers, the people that actually use the business, but also the community it works inside of. So if you're bringing love into business, you start seeing your stakeholders in a new light. And so everyone prospers. Equitable prosperity.
I love that.
So we have that. We have more vision for what a more beautiful world our hearts know is possible, to quote my friend Charles Eisenstein. So we have more, you could say, heart-led vision. We have more of a sense of flow, ease, and perspective because we're grounded in our own wisdom. we make progress, but in the right things, because it's guided by the heart and soul. So of course we make progress. We have technology, we have the best whatevers, but they're in service of something greater, that bigger why. So everyone that's involved in the system or the organization feels like their actions are moving something forward. So they want to take them. They're motivated to make progress. And that happens organically, but also in service of something. And then finally, we are profoundly connected to each other. And what I want to say about that is that the Harvard Grant study was a study that studied, unfortunately, men, not unfortunately, only men, because that was what got studied in the 30s for 70 years, about what made them succeed. What was the source of their success? What was success? What was a successful life? And tracked these 70 men. Or I don't know if it's 70 men or for 70 years, but it's like something like 70 men for something like 70 years, and their lives and their outcomes and what they would say. And what the Harvard Grant study said about a successful life, they said they could summarize it in 3 words. Happiness is love. Full stop. They say full stop. And that all the data pointed to the warmth of relationships maintained in one's life, whether through colleagues or family or friends, is the ultimate arbiter of happiness in somebody's life. Therefore, relationships at work matter. Love will make you more successful at whatever it is you want to do. And the data shows it, but you don't need the data because you already know it in your bones. You do, and anyone listening in the world, right? We know it because as humans know it. The quality of our relationships will directly impact the quality of our results. So that is the answer to your question.
Thank you. Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that out loud into the ether. It's out there into the world right now. It's gonna change. Oh, we need to be having more and more conversations like this, and I love that you're still doing that now, also with the feminine values and Mother Earth in there. Yeah, I'm doing that with the food forest. Um, for
Beautiful.
the community as part of community wealth building, which I'm trying to do here, within my own bioregion. I
Beautiful.
started at the center. Well, uh, thank you. I did not start at the Center for World Peace, but that was like the pinnacle of everything I stood for up until that moment. And with motherhood, it's like boom. It's one powerful um gift, I would say. Life has gifted me this. Mother Earth has gifted everything that I've been doing, everyone, and you, and every person I've ever met, and every experience, every organizations. Like they all matter because it has been relational, and and to me that is part of love,
Yeah.
to be able to do that. Not just when it's easy, but especially when things get hard, when there are conflicts that, uh, people just going at each other.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
The
And
illusion of separation.
pardon.
Well, when we believe the illusion of separation, that we're separate, because we seem to be separate in separate bodies, having separate thoughts and feelings, but ultimately the energy that connects us connects everything, and there is no ultimate separation. What I do to myself, I do to my brother, to my sister. There is no the other is me on some level. What I do to the earth, I do to myself. These sound conceptual, but sometimes when we're very still, we know that's true. We know that we're all part of the same being, and we are interconnected in that being, and there is no separation. But we can convince ourselves that we are separate, and that justifies. But
Right.
it's like a picture I have on one of the psychometric tools I use. They have these slides, and one of the slides is a whole group of people in a boat. And then there are the people at the back of the boat and the people at the front of the boat. And the people at the front of the boat can see there's a big hole in that front of the boat. The people at the back of the boat go, well, I'm glad that's not happening at our end. That's the kind of illusion that's to do with on a team. But actually, extrapolate team to the globe that we're living on. Same story.
That is a powerful metaphor, vision, image. Thank you for that. That's really powerful. Yes, we are one planet. We are Mother Earth in miniature, basically. Thank you for saying that out loud right here. We are on the same path. I'm so glad we're on the same path. It seemed for a while that we diverged, um, but now it feels like we're converging in that the feminine energy, and you definitely have that, and I love that. You're very rooted, very firm and clear, and with that love. That is what it is. That is the power. I was just telling that to my team yesterday. Love is the most powerful source in the entire universe, and to me, I am very compelled by love. I don't see any other option than love. Love is my truth. And I've been walking around the earth like this for a long while. So to find another soul doing the same, saying the same, and naming it out loud without any shame, without any apologies, it's like, yes, thank goodness. We're doing this.
Well, it's like we all need to create in our little environment. We have to bring the water of life, which I call heart power or love. We need to bring that. And then it grows, right? And then eventually all the waters join up and create a river. And off we go. And that's enough. Start where you are, with what you have, with what you can. Always enough.
Always, always, yes, yes. Start where you are. That is so beautiful. Oh, we're coming to the end of our conversation. So I have one question for the closing. Oh, this is so rich. Thank you. And now, yeah, we will have to close soon. So for someone listening who's exhausted by hard power, but scared to soften, what is one experiment they can try in the next week to lead more from love, from heart and soul, without losing their edge?
So I'm going to borrow from Elizabeth Gilbert, because she has been writing letters to love and receiving answers for at least 10 or 15 years. And she's made it a thing now. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love. And, she has this practice, which is something like, if love was unconditional, what would it say to me? What would it say? And just see what comes. And you can imagine it, you can invent it, you can receive divine inspiration, you can have anything happen. But to invite the question, if love was unconditional, what would it have to say to me? Okay, so I'm listening now. I get tears in my eyes and I get the answer, everything is going to be all right. I've got you. There is nothing that isn't love. This is what comes to me when I ask that question. So that's fresh, real right now. So if you're listening, do that. Find a space, find a moment, write it down or just receive. If love were unconditional, what would it have to say to me right now? That would be my offering.
Mm. Thank you so much. It was so lovely to have you today. Thank you. And we're going to love this forward.
We will
Thank
love
you,
it more.
everyone.
Okay.
And thank you, Jackie and Dee, and thank you for always going to listen to this. Have a wonderful day or evening where you are. Have a wonderful, beautiful life full
Thank
of
you.
love, heart, and soul. Thank you. Bye.